Hi everybody, hi. Okay, so let's do these practice problems on finding the first derivative using that limit of f of h plus k minus f of x over h. Okay, so the first one, remember you're just going to replace this with x plus h. Okay, so that's this. Then minus f of x, which is given to us. The whole thing over h. Remember, the whole deal is to eventually get that h to cancel, so then I can allow h to equal 0 and I don't have to worry about division by 0 and do none of fun. Again, this is not x squared plus h squared, it's x plus h times x plus h. Okay? You want to FOIL first, then distribute. So, because, trust me, it works better. And then, we did this a bunch of times, so you should have that pretty well down pat. Then, from here to here, I just distributed the 5. And then, remember, anything that comes after this minus sign should cancel. If it doesn't, you've done something wrong. So we have the limit as h goes to 0 of 10hx plus 5h squared over h. So from this point, I can factor an h out of the numerator, and I'm left with 10x plus 5h over h. You can factor out the 5 as well. It's not wrong if you do it that way, okay? The 6 and 1/2 dozen the other. You still get the same answer. Okay, so now I have the limit as h goes to 0 of 10x plus 5h. So now, since I don't have to worry about division by 0, I go ahead and let h equal 0. 0 times anything is 0. So the whole thing is just equal to 10x. If you look at the last video that we did, I had a little chart here on the side of the board showing the first derivatives. And we know when you look at this, yeah, the first derivative, 2 times 5 is 10, 2 minus 1 is 1. So this checks out. Okay, so the next one is negative 2x squared. It's raining for the first time in who knows how long. Okay, so negative 2x squared. Okay, now we know that the answer to this is 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay, so when we do all of this, we should end up with that. So we're going to have negative 2 times x plus h, quantity squared, minus negative 2x squared. Whole thing over h. Okay? Be careful. So over here, again, I'm going to FOIL first. And I already know that's going to be x squared plus 2hx plus h squared. Minus and a minus is going to give me a plus 2x squared. Whole thing over h. Now distribute your negatives. Now remember, you're not just distributing 2, you're distributing negative. So negative 2x squared minus 4hx minus 2h squared plus 2x squared, whole thing over h. Okay, anything that came after this minus sign should cancel, and it does. So that's a good thing. Okay, so we have our limit as h goes to 0 of negative 4hx minus 2h squared over h. I mean, these are tedious. I mean, once you've seen a bunch of them, you just feel like you could just cut to the chase and factor the h out. But if we were in person, I would probably do that. Again, you could factor out a negative 2 if you wanted, or a positive 2, but you don't need to. The important part is the h. Okay, so those cancel. So negative 4x minus 2h. Don't have to worry about division by 0, so I can let this go to 0. So the whole thing is just negative 4x, which is what we got up here. So check. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, so the next one is just 7x. And remember, whenever you have just x to the first power, the derivative is just going to be whatever the coefficient is. the limit as h goes to 0 of 7x. Well, we know that this is just going to be 7. So now we're going to show that using our limit thing, we actually get that. So the limit as h approaches 0 of 7 times x plus h minus 7x, whole thing over h. Okay, we'll distribute our 7. So we have 7x plus 7h minus 7x over h. Those two are going to cancel, so we're in good shape. Oops, I'm sorry, that's an h. My bad. My bad. Okay, so the limit as h goes to 0 of 7h over h, those h's are going to cancel. So it doesn't matter what h goes to, the whole thing is just equal to 7. Check. That's what we wanted. Okay, now the next one, 10x to the third, that's like super tedious stuff. That's why I only did one of those the other day, because they're tedious. And my board is little. So the limit as h goes to 0. X to the third. Okay, so that's going to be the limit as h goes to 0 of 10x plus h quantity cubed minus 10x to the third, whole thing over h. So remember, this is an x cubed plus h cubed, unfortunately. So we're going to have our 10, then one of the x plus h's, and then the next thing would be x plus h quantity squared, which we are good at doing now. So I'm just going to go ahead and write its equivalent. We have minus 10x to the third, whole thing over h. Okay, now I'm going to take this times the trinomial. So it'll be x times all three of those terms, then h times all three of those terms. After I'm done doing that and combining any like terms, then I'll distribute the 10. Okay? So, again, as I do this, I'm going to put them in alphabetical order so it's easier to get my like terms. So there's my 10. So x times x squared is x to the third. X times 2hx is 2hx squared. X times h squared is going to be h squared x. Now it's h's turn. H times x squared is hx squared. H times 2hx is 2h squared x. And h times h squared is h cubed. Then we have our minus 10x to the third. And this is all over h. By the way, we know that this is going to be 30x to the second. So we're just showing that that's exactly what we're going to get. So now I'm just going to combine like terms. I'm going to go up here. Okay, so we have our limit as h goes to 0. Okay, we have an x cubed. Check. Okay, hx squared, there's two of those. And here's another hx squared. So that gives me 3hx squareds. Then I have h squared x and 2h squared x. That's a 3h squared x. And then I have my h cubed. And then I have minus 10x cubed over h. Okay, so now I'm going to distribute the 10. Okay, so 10x to the third plus 30 hx squared plus 30 h squared x plus 10 h to the third